Going in, a lot of people looked at Damien Craig, Peyton Manning, without a doubt the two most talented quarterbacks in the SEC.
This is why Peyton Manning came back for his senior year.
We weren't in a panic mode, never felt like we had to match them score for score.
Damien was just the ultimate playmaker.
This is when he's dangerous.
Everything Peyton Manning did, Craig had an answer for, good or bad.
Don't ever give up on Damien Craig because he doesn't.
And so it was either Damien Craig's heroics or nothing.
Going deep down the middle, it is touchdown!
If you don't win a championship, then your career is incomplete.
It was a tough night for Tennessee.
This is the 5th turnover for Tennessee.
Peyton Manning kept those guys focused.
This is just eating Craig up. You can see it in his face.
Tonight, we'll chronicle one of the best SEC championship games in its 22-year history. Hi, everybody. I'm Joe Tessitore, and welcome to SEC Rewind. It was Tennessee-Auburn from 1997. Vols senior quarterback Peyton Manning was finishing a career that would put him among the greatest quarterbacks in college football history. All that was missing from his legacy, an SEC championship and the Heisman Trophy. Entering this game, Peyton had a chance to secure both. Let's join the TV tandem of Keith Jackson and Bob Griese from the Georgia Dome in Atlanta.
Thank you. Terry Bowden, 5th season for the Auburn Tigers as head coach, 45-11-1. His first meeting, however, against Tennessee, they've not played since '91. Philip Fulmer, 6th year, his record 53-10 with the Tennessee Volunteers, and his first chance at claiming an SEC championship. The deep people to receive as Tennessee won the toss and wants the football. Auburn will kick it off. Tennessee wants the ball. The deep people are Wilson, Cedric Wilson, 14, and Brian Garden, number 3. The ball's in the air and gone from Holmes, way back into the end zone. There will be no return. It'll be Tennessee ball, first down at the 20-yard line. So as Peyton Manning, who's become a folk hero in the state of Tennessee, comes out, there are his numbers on the season. Snap of the ball game. The Tennessee Volunteers. Let's see if Manning gives it to Lewis to run it. Nope. He sends him in motion. He's out there as a receiver. They'll throw to him. He comes back to get it on a screen, and he pops out in the open. And it's a big play to start the ball game for Tennessee. So it's first down for the Volunteers, and Jason Bray is in the ball game, number 4 at a wide out position. Manning pitches to Lewis, and he comes to the right side on a sweep. He is knocked down as he comes around the corner. Second down. And about 6 as the play goes over the right side with Jamal Lewis, who is a 220-pound freshman from out of the city of Atlanta. And he moves the ball to the Auburn 47-yard line where Ricky Neal made the tackle.
So look at Jamal Lewis. He's averaging over 100 yards per game. That's 3rd in the Southeastern Conference. He is the number 1 true freshman running back in the country. He rushed over 1,200 yards this year, Keith. And as we mentioned, once they found him in the 4th game, their offense was balanced.
It is 3rd and 2. The ball at the Auburn 47. Tigers right now show a 4-man front. Tennessee will throw. Manning pitched it once, throws it, fumbles it, ball rolls around, a fight for it goes to Tennessee. Marcus Nash caught it, coughed it up. Sean Bryson covered it, coming out of the backfield, the fullback.
Well, it helps to be lucky, Keith. Obviously, Tennessee is good with their quarterback and their wide receivers, but this was a fortunate break to get this ball back. Dumps it off to Nash, who's running a crossing route. Takeo Spikes knocks it loose. Tennessee gets it back.
And it's first down Volunteers, Auburn 40-yard line. Manning back to throw. Going big to the corner. It is touchdown, Tennessee. Fearless. Point. The junior corner, Bray, got beat on the play as Price just went up and took the ball away and went into the corner. The extra point try now from Jeff Hall. The snapper is Kevin Gregory. The holder is Vincent Scott. And the kick is good. And before you can take a deep breath, the Volunteers have jumped to a 7-0 lead. 40-yard touchdown pass. Manning requests.
You know, when you looked at the history of the SEC championship game, there was nervousness for the first one at 92 because would it hurt the SEC from winning national championships? Everybody, that was the biggest criticism Roy Kramer faced, even from the coaches. Why are you doing this? You know, Alabama won it all in 92, won a national championship. Florida won the national championship in 96. And the feeling going into the 1997 championship game is that, wow, finally the league has a new look.
Even if you don't care a thing about Auburn and Tennessee, at least we're not watching Florida and Alabama again.
We had Auburn and Tennessee. Tennessee was the higher-ranked team, and it was just a question of which quarterback was going to be able to lead his team to the victory.
Damien was the ultimate hop on my back, I've got this. It's under control.
Craig now flush. This is when he's dangerous. It's caught.
I've always believed that Damien Craig's one of the most underrated quarterback talents that played in the SEC during the 90s.
Damien was the ultimate hop on my back, I've got this. It's under control.
Damien Craig kind of ushered in the beginning of this dual threat quarterback who was smart enough to run a very complicated offense.
Damien Craig was the guy that you just got behind. Ultimate leader. Like I said, ultimate gamer. If he needed to scramble, he would scramble. If he needed to take a hit, he was willing to do that. The guy weighed 175 pounds playing quarterback in the SEC. He was not even 6 feet tall, but he just could make plays. And at the end of the day, I think he looked around, receiver, lineman, running back, follow my lead. We're going to make this happen.
And this was the night that, as sloppy as the game was, everything Peyton Manning did, Craig had an answer for it, good or bad. He at least showed that he could stand shoulder to shoulder. And again, it kind of ushered Auburn into this another era of winning football that they kind of stepped away from for a while.
Advantage here. Peyton Manning gets one more chance in what amounts to the postseason to make a statement about the coveted Heisman Trophy, which I'm sure there's still some votes outstanding because the deadline is not until the 11th. So it ain't a bad beginning.
Danny Werfel kind of made a statement last year in this ball game. Threw for over 400 yards and 6 touchdowns.
He did. At the 7-yard line, Markeith Cooper. He hesitated. That's deadly. He's down at the 20.
Let's go back and take a look at the touchdown. Here's an isolate Peerless. Price. Man is covered. He's right there with him. Good call on first down, David Cutcliffe. The ball is thrown well. There was good coverage. You just got to give a good play to Peyton Manning, putting the ball right on the mark.
Bray had gotten the start at corner over the freshman Larry Collier. Cashier, I'm sorry. And Bray did about all he could do, I guess.
He was there. He was right there. Just missed the ball when he tried to hit it.
Damien Craig will throw on first down, and he's going big down the middle of the field, and it is incomplete. It was intended for Karsten Bailey. The Dr. Pepper starting lineup for the Auburn Tigers across the offensive front. Only one senior. That would be tackle Victor Riley, 33 starts in his career successively. Receivers, these are the people who have to make plays tonight if the Tigers are to have a chance. As Bob mentioned, Auburn has no running to speak of. Damien Craig's a one-man gang back there, and those wide receivers have got to help him. Second down and 10. They try to run and lose 2. Fred Beasley, the fullback, is hit about the time the ball got there by Raynoch Tupson. The Tennessee defensive front, and this is a very active group. They'll march extra hair for you. The linebackers, if Al Wilson's sore ankle holds up on the rug, that'll help him a lot in getting that big guy Little over to the middle linebacker and defensive end position.
Yeah, that's where they want him.
Cornerbacks are seniors, fair in games, and they're very good. But you want to watch where number 1 is. And if you're playing for Auburn, you better know where he is. Craig now flushed. This is when he's dangerous. It's caught. And it is a big one for Hicks. 4. Out of bounds inside the 15-yard line. Corey Gaines ran him down. Don't ever give up on Damian Craig because he doesn't.
This is where he is so dangerous, Keith. The coverage was there. There was pretty good pressure in the pocket, and Damian just took off. He's got pretty good coverage, pretty good protection, and the coverage is there. Now he's creating. Hicks-Poore just takes off downfield. Doesn't see the ball coming. That's number 9 is Noel. The first big play for Auburn.
69 yards, and it's first down at the 13-yard line for the Tigers. And Craig hands it to his tailback, Rusty Williams. And Rusty has all of the rust knocked off on his first carry. He stopped right about the line of scrimmage.
So Auburn, Keith, has just not been able to do anything on the ground, running the football. Take a look at this. They're 16th in passing in the nation, but they're 109th rushing. They average only 82 yards per game on the ground. There's only 112 teams in the NCAA. They can see the bottom from there.
Second down, 11. Craig out of the shotgun. Little's coming. Craig takes off, gets his ball away, and it is incomplete. And he is knocked down. Corey Gaines fought his way through the traffic and got him. That time, Leonard Little had moved over to a defensive end position.
Yeah, the referee, Al Ford, kind of gave Terry Bowden and his Tigers the benefit of the doubt there. That could have been called intentional grounding, but wasn't.
It is 3rd and 11. You've got 3 wideouts. Craig deep. Snapped a little off the target. Passes away, and it is incomplete. Tyrone Dillard may well have been the intended receiver and was knocked down as he was working his way downfield, and Damian has spoken about it.
Well, it's going to come from the left side of your screen. Right there in the middle, right there. Yep. Little, number 1, knocks the receiver off. If the ball's in the air, you cannot hit a receiver. It looked like that ball was in the air.
So it's Jared Holmes who had that terribly dramatic field goal to win against Alabama.
This is big here, Keith. Just get on the board.
30-yard try. Big leg here, and it's good. He has kicked 11 consecutive field goals. It's 7-3 Tennessee.
We felt pretty confident about the game. I think we were overmatched as far as talent. I think they ended up having numerous first-round picks on both sides of the ball and possibly the best quarterback to ever play the game. And we felt like we would win the football game.
Everyone suspected that stage, that football in his hand, Damian's going to lead us to a victory.
2nd down and 8. Ball is thrown to the outside to Nash. Ball is on the ground. Oh, picked up by Auburn.
I think we felt offensively we could do some things to that Tennessee defense.
But Auburn did not have a rusher that year that rushed for 300 yards all season long.
John Chavis, the now LSU defensive coordinator, was their defensive coordinator. He had so many athletes on that defense, they didn't do a whole lot. They weren't very multiple. We felt like we could move the football on that team.
This is when he's dangerous.
It was either Damien Craig's heroics or nothing.
Don't ever give up on Damien Craig.
Now, you talk to any Auburn player, especially one on offense, we think to ourselves, we had Kevin McLeod, a guy that was playing fullback, and Fred Beasley, who played fullback in the league for a very long time. Yet we're throwing these micro machine running backs back there with Terry Bowden trying to be his dad at Florida State. We're like, put Fred Beasley at tailback and let's pound this thing and just run the football.
First down, and Tennessee turns it loose. Craig runs away from it, throws hard, and the pass can't be handled by Hicks poor. That ball was a hummer, and old Damien's looking at Hicks saying,
you got that. You
got to make those catches.
You got to hit that, Keith. You're right. He's outside the pocket. Here's a look at Damien's numbers on the season, but when you're outside the pocket like that and you got a man bump and run one-on-one, the receiver turns around, you've got to hit that one.
So it's second down and 10. It's the wideouts for Auburn that will make the difference in this ball game. If they don't come up with a better effort than they had against Alabama, I don't believe they can handle it.
Damien gave him some heck early in the season. He'll yell at him.
Behind the line of scrimmage, Fred Beasley is walloped by Darwin Walker. Linebacker walked right through the hole, and Beasley never had a chance.
Neither team, Keith, has a dominant defense. Tennessee's defense in the nation is ranked 39th overall, so they're not in the top 25, but they're solid defense, but not dominant. And there is the leader of the Volunteer defense right there, Leonard Little.
Third down and 15 now for the Tigers. Craig gives the ball away to Rusty Williams, and Williams will get up to about the 42 and stop there. And the Tigers will have to fight. Well, the last time Brother Bill Oliver was able to get some defensive pressure on Peyton Manning. Let's see what he can do this time. Dropping back to accept the punt is Terry Fair, number 13. He's a defensive back. And it's Jared Holmes who does all the kicking for Auburn. And it's a good punt. Back to the 12. There's a veteran. And comes up to the 20. And there's a penalty flag thrown from the official on the far side. Jared Holmes' punting average is at 43 yards per, roughly. Al Ford.
You're in the return, the block in the back on the white team. 10-yard penalty, first down 10.
So that moves him back, and let me set the rest of the officials for you. Bud Williams, the umpire. Billy Shore, the linesman. Paul Petrisco, the line judge. Side judge is Ben Oldham. Field judge is Stanley Dixon. The back judge is Ned Wilford.
First series, Peyton looked at across the line and saw a normal defense. The second time, he saw a nickel package on first down, Keith. Brother Bill Oliver, the defensive coordinator, going to change it up on him.
It's at the 11, and it is first and 10. Changing his play. It's dangerous in a place like this. You can't hear. This is Jamal Lewis. And Lewis is anchored down, first off, by Ricky Neal.
Here's Bill Oliver, one of the fine defensive coordinators in this country, Keith. He was at Alabama for a while. In fact, he is the only guy that's ever been in this championship game. He was here with Alabama, but the game within a game. Bill Oliver, the defensive coordinator, and David Cutcliffe, the offensive coordinator for Tennessee. Cutcliffe on the first drive, that long pass for the touchdown on first down after the ball was fumbled. Be a great battle within a game between those two guys. And Peyton Manning calling the controls at the controls. Pretty good.
Second down and 8. Ball is thrown to the outside to Nash. Ball is on the ground. Lowe's picked up by Auburn. Touchdown. Brad Ware. This time Tennessee fumbled it and didn't get it back. And the Tigers put it in the end zone. And the freshman knocked it loose. Larry Cashier. Pass was completed to Nash. Nash was hit, and the ball came out. And Jared Holmes now for the point. It's good. At 5:36 to play in the first quarter, the Auburn Tigers take the lead 10-7 over Tennessee. Deep back spot handed to the fullback Sean Bryson, and the Tigers eat him up.
And when you have Brother Bill on your side and you're trying to formulate a defensive game plan, you know good and well you have a chance.
There's a lot of performance hidden in these tires. These tires are insanely good. Selected as a Consumer's Digest Best Buy. If this is what experts thought about Cooper tires, imagine what you'll have to say. They're impressive on all surfaces. Put Cooper tires on your car today.
You look back at that defense, we had so many guys on that Auburn defense that were playing positions that normally they wouldn't play. But we have Brother Oliver. And when you have Brother Bill on your side and you're trying to formulate a defensive game plan, you know good and well you have a chance. And Bill Oliver did an amazing job of getting those guys to buy into what he wanted and what they could do. It was the first time I've ever seen 11 guys at the line of scrimmage in the box looking like basically punt block against a 3 wide receiver set in Peyton Manning offense. So it was, with Brother Bill on your side, you knew you had an opportunity to win that football game, no matter who was at quarterback and who was going to be around.
Like so many times over the years of Southeastern Conference football, you seldom go down on a single hit. You'll get 2. Casher on the bottom and Spikes on the top.
But Takeo Spikes, that's the second fumble he's caused here tonight. And Terry Bowden telling us yesterday that he's going to need some help. He's going to need some help from Tennessee, turning the ball, coughing it up. He's gotten it for a touchdown the other way here in the first half of the first quarter.
5.5 minutes to go in the first period. From the 20, Manning calling his play. Jamal Lewis. And Lewis gets across the 25 out to the 28.
Well, Keith, coming in this ball game, I talked to Brother Bill Oliver just on the sideline beforehand, and he's very realistic about this defense. He understood, after watching Vandy, how important it was that Auburn's defense take Peyton Manning out of his rhythm and also make some big plays. This defense came into tonight's ball game having scored 3 touchdowns prior to the one they just scored on the defensive side. That's the kind of effort he was hoping for, Keith.
Well, so far, so good. Lewis goes in motion from the deep back spot, handed to the fullback Sean Bryson, and the Tigers eat him up on second down and a long 2. He didn't get anything. Takeo Spikes very active in the middle.
Spikes leads his team in tackles. He had a 65-yard interception return for a touchdown earlier. He is their marquee player, Keith. He has been outstanding for a number of years, and he's just a junior.
3rd and 2.
But he set the tone. He is aggressive on defense. They've got the ball to come out. They smell the blood. Now they can taste it.
The pass for the first down to Derek Edmonds, who had come in at the fullback position and slipped out there, and Edwards caught it right between the 3s in front of the freshman quarterback Casher. Ball just short of the 33-yard line. First down for the Volunteers.
11 guys at the line of scrimmage again.
And he's obviously checking it out. Puts air under it for Price, and it is incomplete. And that's a good job by Bray. Price beat him for the touchdown, and since then, Bray's had a solid lick on Manning and has been right in Price's pocket.
Yep. Everybody's up at the line of scrimmage. Peyton sees it. A single coverage on the outside, says, we'll take a shot at it. My wide receiver against your defensive back. Terry Bowden telling us yesterday one of his concerns was, can his corners hold up against Tennessee's wide receivers?
Got that same matchup down here at the bottom of the picture.
Same look, 11 at the line.
Pressure coming, and they force Manning to unload it. Crowd on the Auburn side hooting for a grounding call as spikes came firing through.
Well, they're all lined up there again. All 11 are here. And here's Spikes right in the center guard gap. Now, somebody's responsible for him. Either one of the guard or the center is, or the back. If it's the back, he needs to step up around before the ball snap because he's never going to get there before the linebacker gets there. Brother Bill doing a nice job mixing things up early in the game.
It is 3rd and 10 from the 33.
Same look, all 11 at the line.
Puts air under it for Price against Bray. Can't make the catch. This time Bray won, though Price got his hands on it.
You do that enough. 11 guys at the line of scrimmage. You're going to win some like Spikes did play before, and you're going to lose some with these wide receivers. Price and Bray right there. Nice job defensively.
And it's 4th down, and in comes Chris Hogue. His first punt was 51 yards. Markeith Cooper waiting for it. Bad kick. Off the side of the foot, bounds up into the air, and the Volunteers will down it at the 44-yard line of Auburn. A 24-yard punt. From the 44. Tennessee shows some blitz here. They knock Little down. There's the pass completed out of the backfield to Fred Beasley. You think when you get a quarterback running around, you've taken away some of his accuracy, but that's not the case with Craig.
That's exactly right. And they're moving him. See how it's a semi-roll. They roll him halfway. Rodney Allison, the offensive coordinator, was telling me that Damien is very accurate against teams that just drop back in zones from the pocket. But they like to move him right and left against teams that like to blitz him.
2nd and 1. They try the run and get the first down with Rusty Williams carrying. Rusty is a sophomore from Moncks Corner, South Carolina. The man behind him, DeMontre Carter, is a true freshman from Pensacola. There's not a whole lot of depth in the running back position, and certainly not much experience.
And not a lot of production, Keith. None of the backs have over 275 yards. We've played 11 games.
DeMarcus Curry is out of the lineup on the offensive front at guard. T.J. Mears moves over to the right side, and Kendall Simmons comes in at the left guard position. All show blitz. Craig fakes the pitch, sets up and throws a homer. Number 41, Dillard, is the tight end.
They don't throw very often to their tight ends. In fact, Dillard came in with only 3 receptions. Here he is right here. He's just going to go up. Fake is going to be this way, and he's going to roll a little bit to our right. Top right of your screen, he just drills that ball right between 2 defenders.
And it's first down Auburn at the Tennessee 31-yard line.
You got to throw that ball to the tight ends a little bit now so they'll block for you.
That's right.
I know you love it.
Rusty Williams in there for maybe a yard, no more. Corey Terry, number 22, a defensive end, got him. It'll be 2nd down, and it's still pretty close to 10 yards. Number 83, Tyrone Goodson, has come wide at the bottom of the picture. And here comes the blitz. And the pass is away for Goodson, and it's too high. Defended on the play by Terry Fair. Terry Bowden yesterday, I asked him to describe his quarterback, define him for us, and this is what the coach said about Damian Craig.
He makes them compete. He wants to win. He's always wanted to win. He was a state champion in high school, and those are the kind of guys that you want. So if there's a defining element of his personality, I can't say it's calmness, but it's competitiveness.
Yeah, you can just feel it when you're around him. 3rd down and 10. Hicks Poor is back in there. Tennessee now with 6 up front. Craig's pass is away down the middle. It's thrown incomplete. Eric Lowe got his hands on it. He had crossing people in the middle, and it was Dwayne Goodrich. It came over and knocked the ball loose, but number 5, Karsten Bailey, had crossed right in front of him.
Yeah, he had a man. He's going to come from the right side. The receiver comes from the right side, but a defensive back is going to knock it down from the left side. This is not good offensive game planning when you have 2 receivers in the same area bringing defensive backs in that area.
40.
Could have been a touchdown, Keith.
Could have, yeah. They were set up for a field goal try for Jared Holmes. It will be a 48-yarder. He is 4 out of 6 between 40 and 49, so he's got plenty of leg on this, and apparently he has ice in his veins. He's a tough guy.
Well, you see Damien there. He's not happy because he knew that he had a touchdown, and the other receiver should not have been bringing the defensive back into that area. He's upset.
All right, here we go with this 48-yard field goal try. It's plenty of leg. Will it hold in? Yes. So Jared Holmes proves what his coach said yesterday. He may be our MVP, even though he's on the same team with Damien Craig. It's now 13-7. The Auburn Tigers have the lead.
We felt like we matched up well with those guys. We weren't in a panic mode.
Steps away, gets his pass off, going deep down the middle.
We felt like we matched up well with those guys. We weren't in a panic mode. Never felt like we had to match them score for score. I thought that our defense could handle those guys. We had a good defensive front. Takil Spikes was the middle linebacker. He led the defense.
And the Tigers eat him up on 2nd down and the long 2. He didn't get anything.
We can expose him in the secondary, and that's exactly what we did. We felt like we had to score about 30 points. We felt like we could do that to win the game.
This has been the toughest ticket in the history, I think, of the SEC championship. Commissioner Roy Kramer looking terribly pleased tonight with a total sellout, and everybody standing, a lot of folks standing outside wondering if all the seats were occupied. And I think the message is yes. 71,000 and something. We'll get the attendance later. Here's Damien Craig back to pass on 2nd down. He throws a bullet. The pass is caught by Karsten Bailey. And Bailey is very close to his 1st down near midfield, albeit the 49-yard line.
All right, we've played 1 quarter. Let's take a look at the numbers for the quarterbacks. Manning 7 of 13, 90 yards and a touchdown. 3 of 9 for Damien, 91 yards. He hit that one big one for, I don't know what it was, 67 yards or something like that.
69.
69. But I'll bet by the end of the night, Damien has more rushing yards than Peyton.
He got the 1st down.
And Peyton would probably say, that's just fine with me.
Karsten Bailey made that catch, and I tell you, it was like catching a hot rock because he had, Craig had drilled it. Bailey, a junior from Sharpsburg, Georgia. Phil Fulmer has been very successful, succeeding Johnny Majors at Tennessee. Rusty Williams is the deep back now for Auburn, number 3. 1st down at the 49. Tigers. Craig still got it. Pressure coming. Steps away. Gets his pass off. Going deep down the middle. It is caught. Touchdown. Tyrone Goodson. As a 50-yard pass play. And Johnson beat Terry Fair on the play, but what a throw by Craig. Kick by Holmes is good. Auburn has scored 20 unanswered points.
Keith, the amazing thing about this is Damian doesn't set his feet. He throws his ball running forward, doesn't set his feet. That's an outstanding throw and a nice catch by Goodson. The safety should have been there, the free safety, but with the play action pass and took so long to throw it, Damian just threw it deep down the middle, and good things are happening for the Tigers.
The ball was released, Bob, just as defensive end Corey Terry, number 22, got his hands on it. It was that close. And Fair turns it back up the sideline. He may be gone. Holmes, the kicker, got it.
You have games that are shootouts where you score, I score, you score, I score.
Deep down the middle, it is caught. Touchdown!
Then you have the games where on paper they look like shootouts, but the reality is that I give you the ball, then you give me the ball, and I give you the ball, and you give me the ball, and that's really what happened.
So I don't think many people expected Auburn to really give Tennessee a game that day, but Damian Craig, he was a force of nature unto himself. He was an incredible quarterback, just created plays with his arm and his feet. And all of a sudden, Auburn is playing Tennessee off their feet. And it looks like Tennessee's about to lose another big game, which had been, unfortunately, a part of Peyton Manning's legacy as well.
And here we go with the second half. And that'll be touchdown and come out to the 20-yard line. So here are the Dr. Pepper halftime stats.
-7 yards rushing for Auburn. That's really not a surprise, but the passing yards, Auburn passing for more than Tennessee is. The 4 turnovers by the Volunteers only led to 7 points for Auburn. Those 4 turnovers in the first half are as many as Tennessee has had all season in any game.
So let's see now. The Tennessee defense was getting very close to changing momentum at the close of the first half. Let's see what happens. Carter, the freshman, is at tailback for Auburn. Devon Craig Carter. Damian Craig's pass is incomplete, off the hands of Bailey, defended by Terry Fair. Here's Lynn Swan.
Well, Kate, you just saw Damian Craig on the field. Terry Bowden said his ankle is sore, but Damian Craig said he would not miss the second half for anything in the world. When I talked to Phil Fulmer, he obviously talked about the mistakes, the turnovers of the first half. He said he thinks he's made the adjustments. They can pick up the blitz in the second half, but when they come to the line of scrimmage, what they're going to do is just go with some plays. Manning is not going to audibilize as much, Bob and Keith, at the line of scrimmage.
I think that's a good idea.
Yep. Craig out of the shotgun, and whistle stop it before the snap of the ball. The referee is Al Ford.
Before the ball was snapped, movement by the offense, 5 yards. Still second down.
Yeah. You got to watch it. You can't let little things start to grab at you. And little 5 yards here and 5 yards there, and the first thing you know, you're in a hole.
Is there any question who the leader of that Auburn offense is? Nope. There's a look at the comparison of the 2 quarterbacks. Both throwing for a touchdown. Baden with the 1 interception.
Second down and 15. As Williams goes in motion and Craig steps away from the pressure and throws it hard, and it is incomplete. Almost intercepted. It was off the hands of Tyrone Dillard. The ball was thrown hard, and he could not make the catch, and one of the Tennessee defenders, a linebacker, came along and almost scooped it up.
Well, Damian is saying you should have caught that ball. It's his tight end that we talked about earlier. He caught a ball in the first half. He came into tonight with only 3 receptions, but this ball is very catchable for most tight ends, but Auburn tight ends don't get that opportunity very often.
So it's third down and 15. They run it up the middle. And there's nothing there, as Beasley couldn't find anything to speak of.
Just a safe call. You're 109th in the nation in running. You're 3rd and 15. You didn't want to turn the ball over deep in your own territory and create some momentum for the other team.
Now, Jared Holmes is in to punt, and Terry Fair is back to receive it. And that's sort of been exciting tonight, particularly if you're a Tennessean. You tend to close your eyes here and see if Terry's going to handle this one and keep control of it as Holmes hits a beauty. Holmes ducked him all the way back to the 32-yard line, and Fair turns it back up the sideline. And he may be gone. Holmes, the kicker, got him. He goes all the way down to the Auburn 23-yard line. There's a missed tackle back up here at the 33, a 51-yard punt, and the return is 45.
I'm sure Terry Fair is saying, give me the ball. Give me another chance. Give me another chance. He ran the 2 punts back in the first half and fumbled the football. He had good returns, but they popped out at the end of the returns. This time he sets them up in great field position.
Big opportunity to start the half here for Tennessee. They'll call it on the 22, and Manning's pass is completed inside the 10 to Marcus Nash. It'll be first down at the Auburn 9, tackled by Larry Catcher.
Behind the defense, Peyton looks off the safety, then throws the slant. Marcus Nash, who's dropped a couple, makes a nice catch there. That ball was a little low and behind him.
First and goal, give it to Lewis, stopped at the line of scrimmage. I mean, the middle of that Auburn front, with the linebackers coming in, plugging the holes. They didn't move. Spikes. Another tackle. At least a piece of it.
But just as Auburn got most of the breaks in the first half, Keith, coming out the second half, Tennessee got great field position. And they say, well, it's about time we got some good field position. Something good happened to us.
5 wideouts. McCullough is in. Copeland is in. Nash. Little quick pop over here to Copeland. Copeland goes down to the 5-yard line where he's knocked down by Jason Bray. That's a good play by Bray because he was the last hope to keep him out of the end zone.
You're right. He's out there in space with a guy that's pretty shifty.
It's 3rd and goal, just short of the 5-yard line, and Jamal has come back in for Tennessee at tailback.
Big play here.
Nash goes in motion. Peyton Manning throws to the end zone, complete. Copeland for a touchdown. So Terry Bowden asked his troops to make a statement. They couldn't do it. Tennessee gets a big return from Terry Fair, and they put it in the end zone. And the extra point try. Jeff Hall, and extra points can be very, very important in championship games. Kick is good. 11:56 to go in the 3rd quarter, and it's now Auburn 20, Tennessee 17.
To a lot of people, if you don't win a championship, then your career is incomplete. There's a box that's unchecked.
From the 15, first down, passes away, the man's over there, it's intercepted.
Peyton Manning's career was a bit incomplete because he hadn't won a championship. He hadn't been able to get past Florida.
Peyton Manning throws to the end zone, complete. Copeland for a touchdown.
With a great player like that, you need to leave Tennessee with at least one SEC championship.
To a lot of people, if you don't win a championship, then your career is incomplete. There's a box that's unchecked.
This is why Peyton Manning came back for his senior year. It wasn't to win the Heisman Trophy, although that might have been a goal of his, but it was to win a championship
Manning back to throw. Going big to the corner. It is touchdown, Tennessee.
When you're a great player and you get to that point, you start talking about your legacy.
Finally, he's in Atlanta. He's in the SEC championship game. He's got a chance to cement his legacy as one of the greatest players in SEC history.
Here are the two most famous football fathers I've ever known. That's Archie Manning on the left, Bob Griese on the right. Archie, of course, the dad of Peyton, and Bob, of course, the dad of Brian Griese, the Michigan quarterback. Archie looks a little peaked right now.
Yeah, but Bob's in better shape than me. Brian's not out there now. I'm dying.
I know how you feel,
dying.
He's going to visit with us a while. He knows what that microphone's all about. He's been sitting in front of it for a long time. And we'll go now with Jamal Lewis breaking over the left side. And I think Mo may be wearing a white shirt right now.
I think you're right, Keith. I think Tennessee made all their mistakes they're going to make or could make in the first half. Auburn got 3 turnovers, 3 fumbles, 1 interception, 4 turnovers, and only scored 7 points out of it. I think Phil said, all right, guys, we can play a lot better football than that. Let's go out. This is our half.
2nd down and 3 at the 44. Peerless Price, the man moving toward the ball. They go back to the run. That's a first down for Lewis as he comes up to midfield. Well, both of you now, your sons are finishing their careers in college. Is it a relief or has it been a joy?
Oh, I've had a great time with it, Keith. I can't say, you know, the first half of this game, it was a joy, but when it's over, Olivia and I always say, yeah, I think that was fun. It's been fun because Peyton's had a good time, and it's been a great experience.
First down for the Vols at midfield. We're visiting with Archie Manning. Peyton calling the play. David Lewis, and that's a yard or so. You've got one more, though, Art. You've got Eli yet to come.
Well, he's just a pup, Keith. He's 16 years old and junior in high school, and he's doing fine, but we're just trying to, play that down and let him enjoy the high school experience.
One of the comments that Peyton has consistently made was the way that you and Olivia and his brothers handled this whole thing, that you made it a joy.
We've tried to keep it in perspective. He's handled things well, and we didn't want it to disrupt our family, and everything's just been great.
2nd down and 9. Lewis. And he'll go down about the 45-yard line. I got a feeling, though, sometimes, Archie, that my partner grumbled a little when his son came along and started knocking down his records.
Well, I tell you, mine didn't last long. Mine went by the wayside quick. That 11,000 yards, I don't think I had 11,000 yards counting practice.
Well, times are changing.
Yes, they have,
they throw a heck of a lot more than they used to.
Thank goodness.
At least that's what I tell Brian.
Well,
crowd building. Auburn in trying to cause trouble. Tennessee crowd on the other side of the house trying to move them on. Copeland goes in motion. And somebody moved, I think.
Before the ball was snapped, ball start by the offense.
That'll cost 5. It's a tough house, isn't it? It's hard to hear.
No, it really is a great crowd. It's a great game. A championship game, and of course, Florida, Alabama, Arkansas one year done such a great job, but it's exciting to see a couple of new teams here, and the fans are into it. It's a great setting. The style of play wasn't real good in the first half, but
it was exciting.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
3rd and 10. Quick one. Caught by Copeland. Breaks a tackle, gets a first down near the 35-yard line. Spikes brought him down. Takeo Spikes. Archie, how do you feel about this championship?
Well, I like the bowl system, Keith. Talking about these championship games with the conference, I think that is really good. I tell you, the job the SEC does here in Atlanta with all the fan fest and everything that goes into it, it's just fantastic for the fans. And, of course, the kids are so excited to participate in a game like this. I think they'll remember it the rest of their lives.
On first down, swing it out, man's wide open. That's Lewis. Jamal Lewis can haul it when he gets that much room, and he's out of bounds at the 15-yard line for another Tennessee first down.
Archie, I've seen Peyton play. This is the first time we saw him play on TV a lot, but I've been very impressed with just how far along he is. I mean, I've said at the opening of this broadcast that I think he is the best quarterback to come out of college since the group of '83 with Marino and John Elway and Jim Kelly. He's so far along in all of his techniques and his principles.
Well, that's a real compliment. He's had great coaching, and Peyton's worked hard, and we're real proud of him.
From the 15, first down, passes away, the man's over there, it's intercepted. Intercepted, it's right off Copeland's hands, he was wide open, and it is Jason Gray still going. He's finally run down and caught inside the 20-yard line. What an incredible turnaround. Sean Bryson ran him down and caught him. It went right through the receiver's hands off his shoulder pads and was intercepted.
Well, that's where being a father is not what it's cranked up to be. Oh, boy. What a turnaround.
Jason Bray, who was burned for the very first touchdown of the game.
You got to catch these balls, Keith. I mean, at least if you don't catch it, you don't keep it up in the air and knock it to the other team. This is a huge turnaround. They're going in for a score. Now they take the ball all the way down to the 20-yard line. This is a 5th turnover for the game for Tennessee.
Blitz coming and whistle.
Really checks your character, doesn't it, Archie?
Yeah, this is where you gotta dig deep. You know, it's been unfortunate for some players. You know, not really some mistakes, but these aren't freshmen. We got guys that've been making plays for 4 years out there. As you know, in football, things don't always go good, but it's 60 minutes long.
That's right. As long as there's time to play. I mean, it's 20-17, and things have not gone well. They've turned the ball over 5 times, and you say, how many times are you going to win a game when you turn it over 5 times? But yet, they still got the chance.
Well, you're so right. Tennessee is so fortunate to be in the football game after all those turnovers.
It's 1st and 15, back on the 24. Craig stepped away from the pressure, gets his pass away. He's got a man. It's Beasley. It's touchdown. So the indefatigable Auburn Tigers come back. The ball ricochets off the hands and the shoulder pad of Jermaine Copeland when he looked like he would score. It goes the other way, and Auburn converts it. And Jared Holmes for the point. Good. 6:14 to play, 3rd quarter. Back to a 10-point lead for Auburn.
And Damian just starts to wear his rear end out right there on national television in front of everyone.
He almost hit him. He does spank him. That's Curry, number 69.
What people don't remember about the game is it was awful. Tennessee turned the ball over 6 times.
It went right through the receiver's hands, off the shoulder pads, and was intercepted.
And every time someone would make a play and you think, okay, now they're engaged, they're going to run away with this thing, they do something to bring the other team back into it.
It's touchdown. 4th and 3, and the Volunteers look like they're going to go for it, and they are. Now Auburn shuffling their defensive people around. Dorsey's back at nose tackle. almost jumped. Peyton got him in the neutral zone, put a knee down.
I don't see any flags, though.
I don't see any. I heard a whistle, but
there's one. I see one.
Okay. So what are they going to call? Offsides against Auburn? That'll give them a first down.
Yeah. Defense, offside, 5 yards, first down.
All right, here's some of the elements that Bob was talking about, how quick he is, because he saw the penetration in the neutral zone and put a knee down.
Well, let's see if he's doing it with the cadence. Yeah, he's trying to get him with cadence right there. That's a good effort. And the guy you get more than anybody is the nose tackle right in front of the ball, because your voice inflection gets him.
Yeah, but if he doesn't get the snap and get a knee down, he doesn't get the offside call.
That's right.
And another penalty flag. Get a little ragged probably because they're getting a little tired.
Before the ball was snapped, movement by the offense, 5 yards.
So Tennessee will give the 5 back.
You know that first down play that we did with the cadence, they got Dorsey to jump off sides. If he was in the NFL, they'd call him for head bob. He was really moving that head.
Yep. We'll make it 1st and 15 now, and the ball comes back to the 46 on the Auburn side of the field. Minute and 17 seconds in the quarter remaining. Pass is away. The pass is caught by Price, and Peerless Price will score.
Sooner or later, you're going to get burned.
It's 27-23 now. About to go back to a 3-point ball game if this conversion is good by Jeff Hall. And it's blocked. And a chance to score 2. If he can reach the end zone, it'll be worth 2. It's Quentin Reese. Blocked by Dorsey. Reese grabbed it and raced downfield and scores 2 for the defense.
What next?
There's a flag on the field, I'm told, out near midfield, and there's another Auburn man down. It may be Dorsey again who's down. So first off, let's see about the flag. He was thrown way back upfield, long distance from where the ball carrier was, Reese. They have not put the 2 points on the scoreboard.
A personal foul against the white team during the run back. Penalty decline. 2 points.
2 points. 29-23. This has been wild and woolly, hasn't it? My goodness. I guess you could have anticipated it, really, because of the nature of the two teams. They both have a lot of offense. Their defenses are sturdy, but not overwhelming. People have made plays. They have not made plays, too. And it's not making plays that's put Tennessee in this posture of compromise.
Keith, let's go back and take a look at Dorsey coming. He's right up here in the middle, and he's going to come right through the center. Right between the guard center. He just pushes his way in and blocks the football, and it's a good thing that Dorsey didn't pick it up, because I don't think he could have made it.
Never. He would have expired right about the 40.
He did expire. He got his cramps around the 50-yard line. That's as far as he could have gone.
Everybody's selling out. Nobody's leaving anything in the clubhouse tonight.
All right, that's for sure.
First down from the 20. Whistles. I mean, somebody is all over this movement on the offensive line. I mean, they've called that all night long.
Before the ball snap, movement by the line, 5 yards.
How many times have we had that call tonight? 10?
Yeah, several.
12? So take it back to the 15, make it first down and 15. Time remaining third quarter, 54 seconds. 29-23.
It's Damien's turn. He gets to go out and see if he can do something. He was upset because of that motion, because he had a good play-action play pass on. He wanted to throw the football.
We got movement on the offensive front again, and Craig is furious. He's walking around and he's yelling at one of his guys. That's going to cost him another 5 yards. Those are dead ball fouls.
Guard, I think it's Curry, the left guard.
I guess so. He's out of the game right now, and Kendall Simmons comes in.
He almost hit him. He does spank him. That's Curry, number 69.
He weighs 315 pounds, David. Be careful. Well, they give the ball to the freshman, DeMontre Carter, and he stopped right at the line of scrimmage.
They have not been able to run the football as advertised. And it's amazing how you can be in a situation that you're in without being able to run the football. I don't think they're in positive ground yet, Keith, as far as running football. I think they're still negative. But they're ahead by 6 points because the work their defense and their special teams have done, turning the football over.
We'll get one more play in the third quarter.
Let's look at Curry, the offensive guard.
The referee threw a flag here.
The team had 12 men in the huddle, more than 3 seconds. 5-yard penalty.
That's 15 yards and 3 5-yard penalties. They had it 1st and 10 at the 20, and they have had 3 successive 5-yard penalties.
And this is just eating Craig up. You can see it in his face. I mean, he hasn't had the snap. He hasn't had an opportunity to make a play, and they've lost 15 yards. Now it's 2nd and 25 or thereabouts.
He may come back with a stick in the fourth quarter. Tennessee's had 9 penalties. Auburn now has had 10. Out of the end zone, pressure's coming, passes away, caught. That's good to Hicks Poor. And Poor gets out to the 20-yard line where this whole shenanigan started in the first place. It was Leonard Little. Little had come from, he'd moved out of the middle and gone to a defensive end position, and he was blitzing. And he almost got Craig in the end zone. First down from the 20, whistles, movement on the offensive line. I mean, they've called that all night long.
And you saw how intense it was with Damian. There was at one point a procedure penalty on a guy named DeMarcus Curry, a good friend of mine playing left guard.
We got movement on the offensive front again, and Craig is furious. He's walking around and he's yelling.
He jumps offside for the 2nd consecutive play, and Damian just starts to wear his rear end out right there on national television in front of everyone. And, of course, we're over on the sidelines thinking, man, I'm glad that's not me over there because that guy just got embarrassed. But that's the kind of competitor that Damian Craig was. He wanted to win at any cost.
He weighs 315 pounds, David. Be careful. Trying to give Craig some time. Little's after him. Pass is thrown. First down for Tennessee at their own 27-yard line. Trailing 29-23. Manning rolls out. Gets his pass away, and it is thrown low and incomplete for Marcus Nash.
Take a look at the mistakes for Tennessee. 4 lost fumbles, 2 interceptions. They've dropped 5 balls. Auburn has gotten 14 points off those turnovers, and they blocked a PAT and returned that for 2 points. So Auburn, if you look at it the other side, Auburn has been a very opportunistic defense. They've knocked the ball loose. They've gotten 16 points other than what their offense has.
2nd and 10. Quick throw, pass complete. First down the sidelines. It's Nash, and he is gone. Receiver, have a the season. And it ties the score. Jeff Hall here to give Tennessee the first lead it's had since the first possession of the ball game. Tennessee 30, Auburn 29.
Marcus Nash, good protection, 2 missed tackles, first by Bray, number 4, and then by Payton. It was a tough start of the day for Nash, number 12. He dropped a couple of balls, fumbles, but play long enough. You give these receivers enough opportunities. Terry Bowden told us early on he was concerned about his corners against their wide receivers.
Payton picked up another one of those little quarterback scars tonight, didn't he? Under the chin. Got him taped up. Here's the kickoff by Hall. It's returnable for Cooper from the 6. Oh, look at this. And they knock it out of bounds. At the 48-yard line, Jeff Hall, the kicker, did it. So Markeith Cooper got a groove and used it.
Special teams. This thing's going to open up right up the middle. Nice job of blocking by the Tigers. They're just going to run him out of bounds. This is great field position. I started to say the best that Auburn's had all day, but I don't think so.
48-yard line for the Auburn Tigers, and Damian Craig has taken timeout. And he's walking slowly toward the sideline for some serious conversation. 30-29, Tennessee getting the lead. The record crowd tonight is 74,896. It's a new Georgia Dome sports event record. The old SEC mark was 74,751, and the house is split 50-50.
Over here, you got UT. Over here, you got AUB.
I got a feeling there's more UT though. I think they've crept in over on the other side of the house. I see a lot of orange. First down, the ball at the 48-yard line of Tennessee. And there are 8 balls up and coming. Craig's pass is away, and there's a penalty flag. Ball is caught by Goodson. He's punished. But you're going to get another illegal. Oh, man, we've had that call. I'm sick of it. All night long we've had that.
Craig is sick of it too, Keith.
Wow.
You know, both quarterbacks have had frustrating evenings. Craig has had to deal with all these silly penalties, and Manning has had to deal with all the drops and all the turnovers, and only one of them, really none of them were his fault. The 2 interceptions shouldn't have been interceptions.
It's a good thing Damian's graduating. He might come give them all hearing aids for Christmas. Pass thrown perfectly completed, but it's short of the original line of scrimmage to Eric Lowe. He's still looking at about 11 yards on second down.
Bob and Keith, Tyrone Goodson, when he walked over to the sideline, held that left arm very close to his body. Remember, he hurt himself a second-degree sprain in the left shoulder. It's painful for him, but apparently it's healed. But he took a shot on it, and he did not look real good walking to the sideline. Keith?
Bailey comes over here as the wideout. Second and 11. Out of the shotgun. Trying to give Craig some time. Little's after him. Pass is thrown. By Tennessee. the same bus. He may want to drive by himself.
Well, that's the first turnover of the night for the Auburn Tigers. Fair does a nice job. That's good, just good football right there. While you're tackling him, why not try to knock the ball loose?
So it's first down Tennessee at their own 40. They lead 30 to 29. 10 minutes to play in the game. Jamal Lewis runs it up the middle and picks up 5. Close to a first down.
Jamal Lewis should be up near 100 yards. It's probably over 90 right now.
And Auburn's defensive legions diminishing steadily for fatigue and injury. This is Lewis, and he runs for a couple of yards. Runs into Shannon Sutton, who makes the tackle.
Damian Craig on the sideline just wondering how we can get some offense going. They only have 1 first down in the second half, does the Auburn offense. .249 yards, and that's all of the offense. They have no offense running the football.
2nd and 8. Manning runs out of bounds. He picks up about 7 yards. He's running toward his own sideline, so he was fairly comfortable doing that. When he went out of bounds, the clock stopped at 8:12 to play. Manning is one of the 3 finalists, along with Caden McNown and Washington State's Ryan Leaf. McNown of UCLA and the Davey O'Brien Quarterback Award Valley. We're getting down to the final moments, which all of the awards for the various positions will be passed out on the ESPN Home Depot Awards program. Manning goes the other way this time. Gets his pass off. It's off the hands of Copeland, and it is incomplete. He gets a lot of snap on that ball with a flicking motion when he throws it that way.
And he gets it there quickly. You know, he's got a quick release. He's a student of the game. He studies it a lot.
But they've got to punt it away on 4th down now, leading by 1 point.
Kind of short arm that. He just kind of shoved it through there, and it was a little high.
This will be the first punt of this half for Tennessee.
We had a block punt yet?
Not yet. Chris Hogue. That's a good kick. Forces Cooper into a fair catch call at the 11-yard line. He hit it straight up. And once again, the Tennessee punters figure in it the kicking game. It's important. Perry Bowden had an interesting little story about a telephone call from his dad. And this was what his dad offered him in the way of advice before this game.
He said, get your kicking game sewed up. In a championship game, it'll all go back to the very first season. It'll go back to the kicking game. And you tend to neglect it. You say, we've been kicking all year. But you watch. It'll be a field goal, a block extra point, a mishandled punter field goal. And when the guy that's been coaching since '55 calls me and says, hey, forget all the fancy stuff. Make sure your kicking game is sewed up. It was a worthwhile call.
Pass is deflected by Jonathan Brown, who reached up and slapped it aside. And we've had the 2 bad punts, 1 on each side. We've had the blocked extra point.
Yes, we have. We've had several long returns on the punting game and on kickoffs.
And you've still got 2 strong-legged kickers out there where a 3-pointer could still decide this ball.
We're a 1-point game right now. 8 minutes to go. Jonathan Brown having a nice game. He had a couple sacks, batted that ball down.
2nd and 10 for Craig. He's got some green in front of him, and he's got a first down. Goes to the marker and passes it.
Yeah, his ankle's all right.
Al Wilson, who's also playing on a sore ankle, linebacker for Tennessee, was the man pursuing him.
Take a look from behind the quarterback. But he's open, and he gets a little bit jumpy, wants to take off. All of the offense for the Auburn Tigers tonight has been generated by Damien Craig.
From the 23. Craig dumps it off to his tight end, Kevin McLeod, who's a former fullback, and McLeod rumbled along for a first down out to about the 36-yard line. Leonard Little was in Craig's hip pocket.
Only the second first down in the second half for Auburn.
Leonard Little is blazing fast. He comes in at about 247 pounds. So when the heavy breathing gets in the neighborhood and the ground starts shaking, it's time to get rid of that football. 36-yard line. Blitz. Passes away down the middle. Bailey. That's a very good defensive play by Terry Fair. He just simply took his arm and stripped him.
That's a good point you made, Keith. You know, one thing that we have not seen a lot of tonight is pass interference. I don't think we've seen one, and I don't think there should have been one.
This is a very good play right here.
Seen a lot of illegal procedures at the offensive line, but good defensive play.
2nd and 10. Too high. Intended for Bailey, and he couldn't go quite that high. Karsten was only 6 feet high. Bailey can't do it. Got a hand on it, but couldn't control it.
Looked to me like he could have caught that, could he?
I don't know. Didn't.
Bailey on Fair.
Seen a lot of that tonight, haven't we?
Yeah.
4th down, and Holmes is in for his 9th punt. Copeland's back waiting for this one. Jermaine Copeland, number 6. A wide receiver with good speed, and once again, there's a Tennessee return. 39-yard punt, 14-yard return.
If there could be such a statement, I think his career at Tennessee was somewhat underrated.
Peyton said all he wanted to get was a SEC championship trophy, Keith.
I think Peyton Manning, a guy that just doesn't get rattled, a guy that was a strong leader, that kept his team focused and in the moment.
He's shown a lot of character, a lot of poise, because things have not gone well for him.
Peyton could have passed up his senior year. It was a lot of reasons, but he had a lot of team-oriented reasons for staying.
Passes away, the pass is caught by Price.
If there could be such a statement, I think his career at Tennessee was somewhat underrated because he didn't get the Heisman that he should have gotten, that is still criminal that he didn't get, and he didn't beat Florida.
Now, they wanted to win a national championship, which they had a chance. They weren't quite good enough, but winning an SEC championship is a good feather to have in your cap.
Look at this. This is the USA Today ESPN coaches poll. And look how close Tennessee and Florida State are in the poll.
Florida State is 3 points behind Tennessee.
There's a pass deep downfield intended for Copeland, and that is a very good play by Martavius Houston. He got just enough of it to keep the ball away from the receiver.
What it means, Keith, if they're split, if Florida State moves past them in the coaches poll but not in the media poll, then it's up to the Orange Bowl committee, if Tennessee goes ahead and wins this ball game, to pick who they want. They pick Tennessee or they can pick Florida State.
2nd down and 10. This is Jamal Lewis. And he's taken down just about the line of scrimmage. At the conclusion of tonight's game, we'll select the Chevrolet Most Valuable Player of the game from each team. Chevy awarding over $6.5 million across 27 years to the scholarship funds of our colleges and universities. I don't even think I'm going to read the paper going home tomorrow. I'm just going to wait till I get home and wait till Monday. Then I can find out for sure who's going where.
You wait long enough, everything will just fall into place.
Everything will work out.
You don't have to worry yourself about a
Just
thing.
go play golf and forget it.
There you go.
Or go fill sandbags in the case of going to California. 3rd down and 10. This is Lewis again. And he's up to the 45-yard line. So it'll be It'll be 4th down and a good 5 yards to go. So Tennessee's going to have to punt it again. This will be the 5th punt of the night for Chris Hogue.
Tennessee playing it very close to the vest. They're up by 1 point, but more importantly than that, Auburn offensively has not done anything in the second half.
5 minutes roughly. 5:05 to play.
Special teams.
Hogue's kicks one upfield. No fair catch by Cooper, and he gets some return on it. Gets it back to about the 29-yard line, and there Mr. Craig and company comes on. From the 29, 1st down. This is McLeod, and he trapped it. He did not catch it. The ball bounced as he reached down for it. Oh, my goodness.
It's a one-legged offense is what it is. It's just, we have no running game. And all we have is Damian Craig and his arm, and his legs.
And his head.
And his head and his competitiveness. And his heart. You got that right.
Second and 10. Look at that. Look at that. Now, Leonard Little was the man that hit him, and they're going to flag him for intentional grounding the ball. As he was going down, he tried to throw the ball upfield, but in the judgment of Al Ford, the referee, it was too late, and they call him for grounding.
Intentional grounding against the offense, 5 yards from the spot of the pass, plus off the down. 3rd down.
There he is, working around. Leonard Little right there, number 1, is going to come around and finally get him. Damian just doesn't want to give up on this, and he doesn't want to take the sack. Just trying to complete it there at the very end. His knee was really down, Keith, before the ball came out.
Yes, it was.
That could have been called down.
I thought so, but all continuing motion. 3rd down now. Got a hurry. And we got him. It's Little again. Leonard Little.
The one-man gang can't do it all by himself.
Nope. He's tired now. It'll be the 10th punt of the night for Jared Holmes. As he comes on the field, you see Little disposing of that last play. It's Terry Fair waiting at midfield. Back to the 40. punt, 11-yard return. And time remaining, 3 minutes and 43 seconds.
Leonard Little's up there with some pretty good guys. Reggie White is the all-time sack leader at Tennessee. Little's got 27 and Jonathan Brown 25. Both those guys, Little and Brown, obviously on this team, they really get after the quarterback. And this one's not an easy one to get. They got him 4 times today.
They'll call this the 39-yard line. Give it to Jamal Lewis. He runs into the stack for 2 yards. Time now becoming precious. The lead, however, is still only 1 point. So all you need is a small miracle. Get Auburn down the field and call Jarrett home. That's what they did against Alabama.
This could be a win for Tennessee, but maybe a loss because they didn't win big enough or good enough.
Could be.
Because if Tennessee is ranked 3rd in one poll and Florida State is ranked 3rd in another poll.
Quick pass over to Nash. That play worked for a touchdown a little while ago. The one that put Tennessee in the lead at 30.
If the Orange Bowl has a right to invite either 3rd team that they want to play Nebraska, and if Michigan should stumble in the Rose Bowl, then the Orange Bowl on January 2nd would have Nebraska versus either Florida State or Tennessee here for the winner, for the championship.
Jamal Lewis, incidentally, has 27 carries and 103 yards tonight. It is 3rd down and 2. This could be the play right here that determines the outcome. They give it to Lewis. And Takeo spikes, hits him right at the 30. How much of a surge was there?
You got to go for it on 4th down anyway, Keith.
I would think so. And obviously you do. He's well beyond.
You're not going to kick a field goal.
Not going to try a field goal here. The ball is right on the 30. And Auburn calls a timeout. So they are definitely almost a full yard short of the 1st down. And the Tigers want time to have a drink of water and take a deep breath and hunker down desperately.
Well, Peyton said all he wanted to get was a SEC championship trophy, Keith.
Yep. But the thing that I wonder about is how many times have I seen a team win a football game with 6 turnovers?
Yeah, that's exactly right. All the stuff they had to overcome.
Yep. It's 4th and 1, and they go quarterback sneak. And the mark is all important. I'm not even going to try to guess under that melee. Auburn is saying it's our ball. Tennessee is saying it's our ball. Al Ford ain't saying nothing. He has now an old friend over there on the sideline called Chain, and it's coming in.
Terry says it's going to be that much. One way or the other, it's going to be that much.
Close. They may not have it. Yes, they do. Half the ball. Oh, they've got 4 more snaps, and it's 2:01 to play, and Auburn has only 1 timeout remaining. Damian Craig walking away. I'll tell you one thing. That young man spent everything he brought. He has my admiration.
Mine too. How about Peyton? You think? What do you think about this? All this Heisman business?
I refuse to discuss it.
We haven't talked about this all year long, Hoss. Huh? We haven't talked about this all year long.
Oh, I think the performance tonight, what few ballots might remain out, some people would say, well, yeah, you know, if they were waffling on it, it might influence them.
I think this, yeah, go ahead.
But your points were well taken tonight. He's done what he was supposed to do. But he can't throw it and catch it both.
That's right. It's been a very frustrating night, and it's been a very tough night. Character-wise, I think bringing his team back I mean, I'm all for giving that trophy sometime, somewhere, someday to a defensive player, because I don't think it should be an offensive player.
Then I will get into your conversation.
Yes, I know. I know you will, because I know who you voted for. But I think if this young man right here goes through 4 years of school, being the model citizen that he has been, coming back when he could have gone and taken the money, graduating in 3 years and doing everything right, if we look back and say he didn't get that award, I think something's wrong. And I'm all for Charles Woodson. I'm all for defensive players, but I'm more for this guy than I am for anybody else.
Well, I hope your mailman remembers to go to your house and not mine. Over the right side, and it's about 3 yards short of the first down.
How do you feel about it? I know how you feel. Let me hear you.
Monty, how do you feel?
No. Come on now.
Well, let me tell you, if I had it my way, the balloting would have been done at the end of November. Not every school has an opportunity to play for a championship game at the end of the year.
I agree.
In terms of my vote, I would not take the SEC championship and punish Peyton Manning if he played a bad game here tonight, or reward him if he played a good game.
Yeah,
he gets an extra opportunity that other people don't have.
I think Charles Woodson had a great year. I mean, I think he was super. And I know.
Here's Jamal Lewis breaking loose. He's down to the 5-yard line. So with 38 seconds to play, that ought to do it.
Come on, tell us who you went with.
That's nobody's business.
Well, you got us. I'll tell him who you went for.
I'll tell you what I think. I think that Peyton Manning got what he came for. He got what he stayed the 4th year for. He got his first SEC championship. The one thing that he didn't get, and the one thing that Leonard didn't get, they didn't beat Florida. The clock is rolling now. Auburn can't stop the clock with a timeout. The party's on for the Tennessee Volunteers as they defeat a game courageous Auburn football team by a score of 30-29. For both teams, their first SEC championship game, and they provided some excitement.
How many times do you turn the ball over 6 times and still come out a winner?
I've never heard of it, especially in a championship game. So Atlanta, brace yourself. You'll be hearing the Rocky Top all night long. Here's Lynn Swann.
Thank you very much, Keith. Peyton, you stayed for an SEC championship. You deserve the moment to tell us how you feel.
Oh, I can't describe it. It's unbelievable. Our 4th year, we worked so hard to get here. We got here. We kept it close all night, but we kept believing and kept the faith. And we won the SEC tonight, Lynn.
There were a lot of mistakes in the first half. I saw you standing in the hallway for the second half. Very pensive, very quiet. 10 points down. What was going through your mind?
Well, we had to keep our poise. We were stopping ourselves. Auburn really didn't stop us all night. We had to take care of the football, quit putting it on the ground, and finally make some plays. In the second half, we did that, and our defense came up really big also.
When you came out in that first half and you saw 11 guys lined up in the line of scrimmage, you're looking for somebody, you say to yourself, this is going to be a long night, something's a little different here?
Well, we knew they were going to go to the pressure package, and they brought a lot of guys, and they're going to make some plays, but they're going to give up some plays also. Give up a big one to Peerless and a big one to Marcus, and we made the plays and got some points.
Everybody happy at Tennessee. You won the SEC championship. You honored your commitment to Tennessee. You've got your degree. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot, Lynn. It's a great feeling. I love Tennessee, and SEC champs. It sounds good, doesn't it?
It does.
What's up, Cut? What's up, E?
Archie and Olivia will sleep well tonight.
Yeah.
The Chevrolet most valuable players of the game are Peyton Manning for Tennessee, Damian Craig for Auburn. They have all kinds of numbers, but the important thing is they were truly the MVPs. Chevrolet continuing to donate money to the general scholarship funds of America's colleges and universities.
In the end, Peyton Manning had the play and had the pass and finally got his ring.
First down the sideline. It's Nash, and he is gone.
And that's very nice to remember it that way. But what you don't remember unless you were there is it was hard to watch.
I kind of sensed walking out of Peyton's press conference that maybe he realized that the Heisman may have gotten away from him a little bit. Wasn't sure at the time. I still couldn't believe they would not give it to him, but it was not a made for Heisman evening in Atlanta.
You know, Damian Craig, for a large part of that game, gave Tennessee all it wanted, but eventually they just kind of ran out of, I don't know if tricks is the right word or what, but just ran out of luck.
The difference in the game came out to be the running game. You know, I think we were minus 30 yards rushing in the game. We ended up losing by 1 point.
The party's on for the Tennessee Volunteers.
You just got the sense that this was one of those defining moments. And everybody, the crowd's going wild, the game is over, and I'll never forget, I watched Peyton as he walked across, stepped up on the ladder, and led the Tennessee band in the fight song. I said, this is kind of cool.
You know, I can go back in history and say we went head-to-head with one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game. And now my kids are older. You know, they watch Peyton play and they just talk about him. Daddy played against him. You know, we lost the game 30-29, but Peyton came out and made plays, and that game still haunts me to this day. You know, that's the one that got away.
And with that, the foundation was laid for Peyton Manning, a glimpse at his ability to lead a team to a fourth-quarter comeback. Unfortunately for Peyton, he had 2 losses left in his college career, finishing runner-up in the Heisman Trophy voting to Charles Woodson, then a month later when the Vols were defeated by Nebraska in the Orange Bowl. Thanks for joining us for SEC Rewind. I'm Joe Tessitore.
Gets his pass off, going deep down the middle. It is caught.
It does make it.
And fearless Price will score.
Just eating Craig up. You can see it in his face.